Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. All right. Yesterday I recorded a video about how we could have a 3-day weekend every week. That actually isn't my ultimate vision, but I think it is a stepping stone there. And here's why. When I was in high school, or actually maybe junior high, I discovered something else interesting about the 3-day weekend. You see, when we have a normal 2-day weekend, you start feeling anxious Sunday, right? And even Saturday night sometimes, right? I can't tell you how many times I've gotten really depressed on Saturday night, on Sunday, and it feels like half the weekend is gone before it's even here. And I noticed something. We would have a 3-day weekend, and by the third day, you're itching to get back to your schoolwork, or even as an adult, right? A 3-day weekend, you're already feeling lonely by the third day. You're not minding the fact that you have to go back to work the next day, right? So the 3-day weekend gave weekends a very soft landing, right? A 2-day weekend just ends very abruptly, right? So in essence, going from 2 to 3 days didn't just increase the weekend by 50%. It was more like a doubling or even tripling of the week. It really was. It really was. Now, I don't know about most people, but if we were to graph how many days you take off versus some kind of utility function, right, if you will, from 1 to 2, it's not that big a deal, right? How many times have you taken, like, I don't know. Are there any holidays that come on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday? I guess July 4th could come on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Think about the last time you had the middle of the day off because of July 4th, right? And that was a mini weekend, right? You still have most of the benefits of a 2-day weekend, right? So from 1 to 2, the biggest utility jump is probably from 2 to 3. From 3 to 4, well, you're feeling lonely by that point, right? You'd have to go all the way up to like a good amount where you could actually take a trip somewhere before you get another utility jump, right? But 2 to 3 is a big jump in my opinion. Leave a comment if you agree or disagree with that. Now, but the problem is that I also notice that I get a lot more work done on 5 days than I do on 4. It takes time to build up steam, right? Depending on what you do for a living. I've never worked retail or anything like that. It might be different. At retail, it's kind of linear, right? You just do whatever you need to do, right? But even then, there's probably a flow to it as well, right? But 2 to 3 is a huge. From working 4 days to working 5 days is a huge jump as well. If you were to graph how many days I worked versus how much I got done, the first 1 day in a row, 2 days in a row, 2 to 3 probably starts to creep up. 3 to 4 creeps up. 4 to 5 is a huge jump, and I would argue even 5 to 6 could be an even bigger jump. But I seldom get to experience it. You probably have to work 7 days in a row before it starts to slope downward, right? But so I love the 5-day work week. I also love the 3-day weekend, and it dawned on me those two concepts are not mutually exclusive at all, at all. Now you might say, well, that'd be a problem if some people are working 8-day weeks and others are working 7. So here's my ultimate utopia. How about instead of having weekends? See, most people, especially outside the U.S., most people get a bank of vacation days they get to use during the year, right? I say we take that to the extreme. Get rid of holidays and weekends, make every day a work day, but have enough vacation days that you could take weekends on your own schedule, right? So right now, most people get, let's see, 2 times 52 weeks, right? 104 plus however many holidays plus however many vacation days. Just give that many vacation days and have every day be an office day, and people can take off whenever they want to. Now that would solve a lot of problems, right? First of all, there have been times like I said, I wish I could work that 6th day, right? I'm in the middle of a flow. Now I might be able to do that, but I don't want to give up my precious weekends, right? With the kind of schedule that I propose, you don't have to give them up anymore, right? Or there are other times when I'm just not ready when Monday comes around, right? Like I said, having 3 days off gives the weekend a big soft landing, right? It really does. It really does. The best analogy I could give is that, let me see. Uh, Having a 2 day weekend feels like a really bad breakup at the end of the weekend. Think about the worst breakup you've ever experienced, right? 3 day weekend is kind of like you're just not meant for each other, right? You can move on from it. In fact, you're happy to move on, and both of you can remain close, right? I don't know. That's the best analogy I can think of, right? A 2 day weekend feels like things ended with a restraining order, right? It really does. 3 day weekend feels like we stay close to each other, right? Maybe even continue to have the same mutual friends, right? All right. But my ultimate vision is the floating weekends, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.